Robert the Doll. Did you know that the infamous Chucky character from Child's Play was inspired by a terrifying real-life doll? In 1904, Robert Eugene Otto, a young boy from Key West, Florida, received a cloth-bodied doll as a gift from a Bahamian servant, said to practice voodoo. What started as an innocent toy soon spiraled into chilling events. The doll was reportedly seen moving on its own, and neighbors claimed they saw it peering out of upper-floor windows when the family wasn't home. Doors slammed, furniture toppled, and household items vanished. All attributed to Robert the Doll's unsettling presence. Things only got stranger. A creepy laugh was said to come from the doll itself, and witnesses reported hearing Eugene speaking to Robert in private, only for the doll to reply in a voice of its own. After Otto's death in 1974, the doll was donated to the Fort East Martello Museum, where its unnerving reputation only deepened. Visitors reported malfunctioning electronics and an overwhelming sense of dread near its display. Letters begging Robert's forgiveness after mocking him became so frequent they are now part of the exhibit. The Haunted Mirror of Myrtles Plantation. The Myrtles Plantation, often called the most haunted house in America, harbors horror stories of tragedy and vengeance. Among the most infamous is the tale of Chloe, a slave owned by Clark and Sarah Woodruff. Some accounts claim Clark pressured Chloe into becoming his mistress, while others suggest she eavesdropped on his business dealings. After being caught, her punishment was brutal. Her ear cut off, forcing her to wear a green turban to hide the disfigurement. Seeking revenge, Chloe is said to have poisoned Sarah Woodruff and her children, leading to their tragic deaths. The plantation's ornate mirror is believed to contain the spirits of Sarah and her children. According to legend, the mirror was never properly covered after their deaths, a common practice to prevent spirits from becoming trapped. Guests report seeing shadowy figures or childlike handprints appearing on the glass, which vanish moments later. Staff and visitors also describe feelings of unease near the mirror, as though being watched. The Myrtles Plantation is home to other ghostly tales, including a young girl who died in 1868 and is said to haunt the room where she passed, and an apparition that crawls or staggers up the staircase, halting at the 17th step. Whether myth or reality, the haunted mirror remains one of the plantation's most chilling attractions. The Annabelle Doll. Since her first alleged haunting in 1970, the Annabelle Doll has been blamed for 2 near-death experiences, 1 fatal accident, and a string of demonic activities spanning 30 years. Her frightening story eventually inspired the massively successful Conjuring universe of films, cementing her place in modern horror lore. Now encased in the Warren Occult Museum, Annabelle is no ordinary toy. In the 1970s, nursing student Donna received the Raggedy Ann doll as a birthday gift. She and her roommate, Angie, soon began noticing strange occurrences. Donna would place the doll on the living room sofa before leaving for work, only to return and find it in her bedroom with the door shut. The haunting escalated when the roommates discovered parchment paper notes reading, "Help me," despite neither of them owning such paper. Matters took a violent turn when Angie's boyfriend, Lou, felt a sharp searing pain in his chest and found bloody claw marks that vanished within 2 days. Seeking answers, Donna consulted a medium who revealed the doll was inhabited by the spirit of Annabelle Higgins, a 7-year-old girl whose body was discovered years earlier on the property. Terrified, Donna reached out to paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. They concluded the doll was controlled by a wicked spirit. The Warrens experienced the doll's power firsthand when their car brakes failed on the way home after retrieving her. To contain the threat, the Warrens locked Annabelle in a specially made case adorned with prayers. Hope Diamond. In 1909, Turkish diamond collector Selim Habib purchased the Hope Diamond for $200,000, a fortune equivalent to $7 million today. Months later, his financial empire crumbled, forcing him to sell the prized gem. Adding to its mystique, rumors falsely claimed Habib perished in a shipwreck, cementing the jewel's reputation as cursed. The Hope Diamond's history of misfortune predates Habib's tragedy. Mined in the 17th century from India's Kolar mine, it first adorned French King Louis XIV, whose reign was plagued by illness and scandal. The stone later passed to Queen Marie Antoinette, whose life ended brutally at the guillotine during the French Revolution. Many saw these events as evidence of a sinister curse embedded within the gem. In the 19th century, London banker Henry Philip Hope acquired the diamond, which subsequently took his name. Misfortune followed. His descendants endured financial collapse, untimely deaths, and public disgrace. By the mid-20th century, the diamond came into the possession of Harry Winston, who donated it to the Smithsonian Institution in 1958. Despite its secure casing, rumors of inexplicable events continue to surround the infamous gem. The Conjured Chest. 18 lives were claimed by the Conjured Chest, a seemingly ordinary mahogany dresser from the 19th century that became a harbinger of doom for all who owned it. The story begins in Kentucky around 1830 when Jeremiah Graham, preparing for the birth of his first child, commissioned the chest. Dissatisfied with the work of an enslaved man named Remus, Graham beat him severely, leading to his death. Seeking revenge, other enslaved individuals sprinkled dried owl blood inside the chest's drawers and placed a curse upon it. The chest's curse took effect almost immediately. Graham's child died shortly after birth, and tragedy struck every family who used the chest. Over generations, the dresser was linked to at least 18 cases of untimely deaths, strange illnesses, and devastating financial collapse, sparing no one from its legacy of suffering. Even those connected to its curse-breaking efforts were not spared. In the 1970s, Virginia Carey Hudson Maine, its last private owner, attempted to end the curse with the help of her lifelong maid, Sally. Following a ritual involving owl feathers and willow leaves, Sally predicted either she or Virginia would die before the fall's last leaf. Sally passed away that September. Determined to end the deadly chain of events, Maine donated the chest to the Kentucky Historical Society in 1976. The chest remains on display, with owl feathers preserved in its drawers to ward off further tragedy. Its infamy reached beyond Kentucky, earning a feature on the Travel Channel's Deadly Possessions in 2015. The Busby Stoop Chair. In 1702, Thomas Busby, a convicted murderer and notorious coin counterfeiter, was granted a final drink at the local inn before his execution. While seated in his favorite chair, Busby allegedly cursed it, declaring that anyone who dared sit in it would soon meet their untimely death. Over the centuries, the so-called Busby Stoop Chair, or the Chair of Death, gained infamy for a series of mysterious fatalities. During World War II, Canadian airmen stationed nearby were said to frequent the pub, and those who sat in the chair reportedly never returned from their bombing missions over mainland Europe. One of the most distressing accounts is that of a delivery man who rested in the chair during a stop at the inn, only to die in a car crash hours later. By the mid-20th century, the chair became a magnet for daredevils seeking to challenge its deadly reputation. Tragically, many who scoffed at the curse became part of its legend, including a construction worker who perished in a car crash on the same day he sat in the chair. Fearing further tragedy, the chair was donated to the Thirsk Museum, where it now hangs high on the wall, well out of reach of the curious and the defiant. The Crying Boy Painting. In the 1980s, British tabloids exploded with reports of unexplained fires that left devastation in their wake. Except for one spooky survivor, the Crying Boy painting. Created by Italian artist Giovanni Bragolin, this haunting portrait of a tear-streaked child became infamous as a cursed object. Firefighters investigating the scenes noticed an unsettling pattern. Everything around the painting was reduced to ashes, yet the canvas remained intact. Rumors claim the boy depicted in the painting suffered a tragic fate. Some say he accidentally caused a fire that killed his family, while others whisper that Bragolin's series of paintings captured or cursed children through supernatural means. As stories spread, panicked owners began destroying their copies, but bizarrely, some incidents of fire occurred during attempts to burn the painting, reinforcing its ominous reputation. A comparison can be drawn between the painting and horror tropes in films like The Ring, where cursed items wreak havoc on their owners. The Koh-e-Noor Diamond. The Koh-e-Noor Diamond, one of the world's largest and most famous gems, is said to carry a sinister curse, one that spares women but dooms any man who dares possess it. Folklore warns, he who owns this diamond will own the world, but will also know all its misfortunes. Mined in India's Golconda region centuries ago, the Koh-e-Noor has a legacy steeped in bloodshed and betrayal. It passed through Hindu, Mongolian, Persian, Afghan, and Sikh rulers, each of whom fought bloody conflicts to possess it. Yet every empire tied to the diamond met a bitter end. The diamond's path is littered with fallen empires. The Khilji dynasty fell, followed by the collapse of the Mughal, Persian, and Sikh empires. Even the British East India Company, which acquired the jewel after annexing Punjab in 1849, faced destruction, disbanded just 8 years later in the wake of the Indian Rebellion of 1857. The gem was presented to Queen Victoria in 1850 and has since only been worn by women in the royal family. Male heirs to the throne traditionally pass it to their wives, heeding the warnings of its legend. the curse of Ötzi, the Iceman. In 1991, two German hikers made a startling discovery: a mummified body in the Ötztal Alps on the Austria-Italy border. Later dated to around 5,300 years ago, it became known as Ötzi the Iceman, one of the oldest and best-preserved natural mummies ever found. What began as a groundbreaking scientific marvel soon gained a darker reputation, as those connected to Ötzi faced a series of untimely deaths. The curse's grip began with Dr. Rainer Henn, the forensic expert who placed Ötzi in a body bag, died in a car crash while en route to deliver a lecture about the mummy. Perhaps the creepiest death was that of Helmut Simon, one of the hikers who found Ötzi. In 2004, he was discovered frozen in ice near the same location after falling to his death during a freak blizzard. Just hours after his funeral, Dieter Warnecke, the head of the mountain rescue team that recovered Simon's body, died of a heart attack. The curse turned to fear when archaeologist Konrad Spindler, who dismissed the idea of a curse by joking, "The next thing you'll say is I'm next," tragically passed away from multiple sclerosis the following year. In total, at least 7 individuals linked to Ötzi's discovery or study have died under unusual circumstances, keeping the legend of the Iceman's curse alive.